What's going on, guys? King Linus here. So I've done this video probably about 5 times now, and I've accidentally deleted it twice. So this is going to be Season 0, Episode 6. Alright guys, so basically the way it goes is the curator's friend, one of the green suit, the slim guy, he's basically reading the newspaper, and in it he sees the curator, the guy that wanted to steal and sell off the Millennium Puzzle. Now he's sad that his friend's hurt, but he's kind of happy that he's going to see Grandpa Moto. So as he's talking to himself and he's reading the paper, Shady appears out of the shadows. And he's like, "Who are you?" And Shady basically tells him, "I come from a line of gravekeepers, and he's basically there to judge him." Now the guy's scared as shit. He stands up and he starts backing up. And as he's backing up, he doesn't realize that he's up against the window. So he basically backs up out of the window and like falls. And he falls like 2 stories, it looks like. And as he's falling, Grandpa Moto sees this. He's like, "Oh no, my friend, are you okay?" And it basically jumps to the friend being in the hospital. So while the friend's in the hospital, it's Grandpa Moto, Yugi, and all his friends there. And Grandpa Moto's like, "Don't worry about it, guys. I'll watch over him, make sure he's okay. Um, make sure he's okay." So he tells them, "Just go on, go ahead, go home." So they walk out of the hospital, and as they're walking out of the hospital, they're walking down like a sidewalk. And as they're walking down the sidewalk, Shady appears behind them, like 20, 30 feet behind them, so they don't even realize he's there. So Shady pops out of nowhere, and he starts talking to himself, and he's like, "Yugi, I will have my," he's like, I will win, I will get my revenge, basically. However, I have to do so, in other words. Now, um, without anybody knowing, somehow, he gets in contact with Taya, and he uses his Millennium Cross to take over her mind. Um, so he takes over her mind, and she goes to school the next day, and she's just like zombified. Like, Shady basically controls her, right? So she's kind of, you can tell in her eyes. Okay, so it goes to Yugi, and Yugi's basically playing sports, and the teacher tells him, "Hey, go get that line jar from, the sports room." So Yugi goes to the sports room, and as he's looking for it, he sees just giant poles fall behind him, and it makes a huge clanging sound. He's like, "Oh my, I gotta be more careful. Like, I could have been hurt." And then out of the shadows appears Taya. So basically, Shady is making Taya try and hurt Yugi or put him under pressure so the Pharaoh can come out. So Shady can challenge the Pharaoh. So he's trying to put him under stress, basically, like a stress test. Yugi doesn't see this, but of course Taya knows. So Yugi goes back and he starts doing his thing. And Yugi goes back, or Yugi, it fast forwards a little bit later in the day, and it's Yugi, Joey, and Tristan, and they're all talking about in class, and they're like, Taya's acting kind of weird today. Like, yeah, she is. And that's basically it. It's just a little side note. And so Yugi goes back to, I guess, playing or something, and he gets hurt. So he goes to the infirmary, which is the nurse's office. So he goes to the nurse's office, right? And he's just chilling in there, and he's like looking around. He's like, "Nurse, anyone? Is anyone here?" And you just see Tristan and Joey talking to themselves. And Tristan, of course, is in love with Miho. And he sees Miho down the hall, and him being all love-struck runs down the hall. He's like, "Oh my god, my love, I love you. Are you hurt? Do you need blood? I'll give you all my blood. Anything for you." And Miho's like, "No, no, no, I saw Taya walk in here, but I haven't seen her leave, so I don't know where she's at." So they're like, "Huh." So they all go in, and they see Taya choking the shit out of Yugi. Because Yugi's tiny and he's basically defenseless. Choking the shit out of him, basically another stress test to get the Pharaoh to come out. It doesn't work. Yugi gets the shit choked out of him. He's like all dying and shit. They pull Taya off, and Taya just kind of still zombie look on her face, just chilling, looks at them, and then just takes off running. And so Yugi's like, "We need to talk to her. We need to see what's up with her." So they all get up and they all run separate ways to find her. So Joey runs one way, Tristan runs another. Yugi, he starts running a totally different way, and he sees her just calm, cool, nonchalant walking. And he's like, "Taya, Taya." So he runs after her, and she starts running up the stairs. And he follows her up the stairs. And as he gets up the stairs, he gets onto the rooftop. And once he gets to the rooftop, he realizes it's a trap. And on the rooftop, it's Taya, basically on a piece of board, a plank, that's supported by 3 ropes. Now, attached to these 3 ropes are 3 statues. Okay? Already, that's your foreshadowing. And he gets out there, and Yugi's like, "What are you doing to my friend Teo?" And Shady's out there, and he's like, "We're gonna play a game. It's a game of the hearts." Okay? And he points to the statues holding the ropes. And he basically says, every time you lose one step of this game, one stage of it, one of these statues will break and one of these ropes will go, and Teo's board will get weaker and it'll start going lower down. So they start playing it. So Yugi's like talking to him, and he's like, all right, but you're gonna lose. I'm just letting you know that right now. So he starts playing a game without Yugi knowing. Shady just automatically goes into the game. So Yugi's just talking to him, and Shady, like, he shakes him, he rattles him, and basically one of Yugi's statues starts cracking and breaks. And Yugi's like, whoa, what the hell? What's going on? And Shady's like, haven't you realized we started playing? And Yugi's like, what the hell? So Shady summons a beast, basically. And he's like, we're going to play a concentration game. And Yugi passes it like that. It's a little hard at first, but he passes it. And so Shady's like, alright, cool. Game 2. And he resurrects the old spirit of Joey, how Joey was a douche to him. Or Janucci, for all those OCG fans. And he basically brings back his spirit of how he was a dick to him. And they play a game. And just as Yugi's about to lose that second game, he tells Shady, I'm not gonna be playing this game because that's not the spirit of Joey. That's not who he is anymore. And automatically Joey's spirit disappears. And Shady's like, whoa, 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 this is my game. What the hell's going on? And Yugi's like, you don't realize that's not who he was anymore. So he can't be that person anymore because he's now my friend. He wouldn't do that to me now. And so Shady's statue cracks a little bit. And Shady's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I thought the power came from the heart being, like, cold. And Yugi's like, no, it comes from having friends and helping friends and having friends that help you. And Shady's just shaking up. He's like, whoa, 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 what's the hell? What the hell's going on? So Yugi's like, that's why I have these friends. These are my friends. They're good friends to me. That's why, I appreciate them and stuff. And so basically, it jumps back down to Tristan and Joey, or Joey and Miho, and Tristan's still running around. So Joey and Miho are running around, and they see Tristan, but this time, Tristan is zombified. And so he starts chasing Miho and Joey with basically a broom. Starts chasing him with a broom, and they run into a classroom. They get cornered, and Joey's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Tristan, forgive me, and he gives a fire extinguisher and just hoses him down. Tristan zombified, doesn't care, he's like, running around. And basically, Joey he falls out the window, backwards, but he catches himself, and he's like, holy shit, I gotta get out of here. And he starts climbing up to get away from Tristan. Tristan follows him. So Joey starts climbing up, and Tristan starts climbing up after him. Because Joey's freaked out. He still thinks it's the curse of, the Pharaoh, even though it's the Millennium Cross from Shady. So, he starts climbing up, and Tristan grabs his ankle. And as he grabs his ankle, Joey's like freaking out, and he looks up and he sees Taya on a plank. He's like, what the hell? What's Taya doing up there? And it immediately jumps back to Yugi up top. Now, Yugi and Shady are playing the game. And as they get to the third game, the Pharaoh starts telling Shady, the power comes from the heart of believing in friends and things like that. And Shady's like, no, it can't be. And at that moment, Shady, I can't remember exactly, but Shady tells Yugi something, and Yugi just gets shook, and it basically breaks his remaining statue. But boom, all 3 ropes go. Okay? Now the way the thing is set up is he's got 3 ropes holding the plank, and it's got 1 rope to Shady's statue. Now if Shady's statue breaks, it's got the Millennium Cross. Now if that Millennium Cross slides down and touches Taya, the curse is broken, and Taya will become herself, and Tristan will become himself, because that's the way it works. So, all 3 of Yugi's ropes snap, and the plank's like this, and it drops. And just then, Joey comes up underneath it and holds it up. Sorry, I had to use my hand. He holds it up, and now he's freaking out, because Tristan's still trying to climb up him. And Tristan's like climbing up his leg now, and he's like freaking out, like, oh my god, hurry up, Yugi. So, Yugi basically tells Shady, you're gonna lose. I have total faith and trust in my friends, and that's why, you're not gonna beat me. And Shady just loses it. He freaks out, and his statue breaks, and the Millennium Cross goes and touches Taya. Now Taya, on top of the rope, or on the plank that's falling, that's like literally tipping, she looks around, she's like, what the hell's going on? She starts freaking out, right? She starts freaking out. She's like, "Oh my god!" And basically, Joey's holding her up, and he's like, "Don't stop moving. Come closer to the building, you know." And just as she's about to fall, this is the Pharaoh. He reaches out, grabs her arm, and pulls her up. Now he pulls her up, and as he pulls her up, it automatically jumps back to Shady. Now Shady, I don't know how, is back on the ground level, and he's walking. And it jumps back to Tristan, and Tristan's still zombified, trying to climb up to Joey. And just as Taya gets released from the spell, so is Tristan. And he freaks out, like, "Oh my god, what am I doing up here? I'm scared of heights." Starts freaking out. So Yugi basically helps up Joey and Tristan up to the top of the building, and they start talking and laughing and conversing. Now, because of the setup, the Millennium Cross is falling. I don't know how Shady does it, but basically he's walking and like a pimp, boom, catches it out of midair. And he's like, "You may have beaten me this time, but I will see you again, Pharaoh." And it goes ... Yu-Gi-Oh, which I thought was epic. And that's how the episode ends. Now, I'm sure there's a couple details I missed in there, but please feel free to watch it. It's a good episode, okay? So that'll be it for now, guys. King Flanders out.